guys? Welcome back. It is episode 6, and as always, we are listening to my boy Otis learn his Spanish. Hit me. What's 6?
Wait a minute. We said this is seis.
Seis,
because it's cinco.
Seis. There you go.
Seis. Say what's up, seis. What's going on, y'all?
Welcome back, guys. We have a very, very special treat for you guys today. Man, this episode's gonna blow your guys' mind. I'm pretty sure the last one kind of did that for you guys too, man. Last episode,
man. Listen, before we go any further, I think that everybody should know that we are overwhelmed with the responses. We didn't know that we would have a community that would be being built up, and it just doesn't it motivate you more?
It's crazy, man. Hell yeah, it does.
Dude, it's funny, right? We're gonna shoot like 10 of these in one day. We just juiced up, right? But thank you to everybody on every social media platform. I want to send a shout out to my mama. Thank you for listening. We got cousins, family members, and Instagram, and YouTube's getting ready to release here.
It's gonna be releasing this week.
This week?
Ooh, yeah.
You don't have a date. That's don't give them a
no
date.
date. No date.
That's don't give them.
But what's crazy? Let's add. We're actually in other countries too, guys. Some of those countries we have listeners in South Africa, Indonesia, Canada. What are some of the other big ones I saw on there?
I seen Canada. I seen South Africa.
Philippines.
Dominican Republic. That's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Dominicano.
Thank you, my people.
There you go, right there. Y'all holding it down for your brother from another mother.
There it is. Right?
So fired up about today's topic, man. So let's jump right into it because we have a short amount of time with you guys. As you all know, our strive is to make sure that you understand that we're not your gurus. We happen to be a podcast, built by real people for the needs of real people. So, you grabbing a quick lunch bite, maybe you're at work, maybe you're getting a workout in, maybe you're just on your morning commute, whatever that is, you're coming home. We want to be able to be in your ear and just provide as much substance and as much value as we possibly can. Right?
Bingo.
So today's topic, very funny topic, like first and foremost, it started from a conversation I just had this past weekend. I told you a little bit about it, right? But I'm gonna tell the world, right? So this past weekend, just out and about, having a good time with some friends, and one of my really good friends, we were out eating and stuff like that. It was kind of like a little family gathering, and he just started a business. His business is doing very well.
Nice.
A lot of people are not doing well throughout the pandemic, and he's been managing to grow a business. So he was super excited, telling me about the growth that he was having. He was talking about the potential for this, and some years down the line, this is what this business is gonna look like. I'm into it because I'm like, damn, dude, I'm fired up. Yeah, man. I'm listening to this like, man, I remember this. I know this feeling like, the ups, the downs.
I feel like a butt's coming.
Yeah, there is a heavy butt coming. So probably at the height, the excitement of the conversation, his auntie, she's listening, she's excited for him, and she butts in and she says, check this out. Some of y'all got people like this in your life. I know. I don't think I do. My family's supportive for the most part. If I do anything, if I sell like lemonade, doesn't matter. But so his auntie, she comes in, she gives her 2 cents, and she says, "So you're making all of that money. This is my auntie voice. You're making all that money. Be careful because you don't want to gain the world and lose your soul, and be careful because money is the root of all evil."
Boom.
And I was like, wow.
Right there.
Money
That's the one.
Is the root of all evil. So really quick, jot that down, okay? Because that's what we're going to be discussing, right? So when you've heard this before, right? And we hear it. Talk to me like when somebody says that or you hear it, maybe in the past, maybe to now, draw some contrast to where, what does that mean to you? Money's the root of all evil.
I mean, I don't know what it means to me, but in passing the way I've heard it, right? A lot of people feel that way.
They do.
And I think it's actually in the Bible, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It is. It's in 1 Timothy, I think like 6 through 10. And it actually says, for the love of all money, that whatever is evil, whatever. But again, that's been lost in translation for so long because, again, what's really important is that from my experiences, money is necessary. Hopefully you would agree. You would agree, right? We have our camera lady over here. Would you agree? Slosh and Crenshaw is back here, right? So again, here's the cool thing, is that throughout translation, things have been lost,
Right.
over time. And I think the best way to draw comparison to this is the moment that his I believe it was his aunt. Shout out to you. We ain't, if you decide to listen, just keep listening, right? I promise you, we're just doing some course correcting, right? Because we're trying to get to a better place, right?
We'll tag you. No, just kidding.
Yeah, don't tag her, right? Don't tag her. She may tag him, and then he may tag me or something. But his was funny. Is that it makes me think about this story that I was told some time ago about this famous tradition for the woman when they got married was to cook a ham.
Oh, I like this story.
Right. So let's just call it Jenny. Right. Jenny's job. She married John. So Jenny marries John. Her job was to make the famous ham that was in the family lineage. Right. So so she makes the ham, and everybody's anticipating that John's gonna like this ham. So marriage is done. Whatever. They go home. The next day she makes it, and John's like, "Damn, son, this is some good ham, right?" So she goes, honey, that's been in my family for forever. You know how y'all women can talk, right?
Sounds like your auntie voice too.
Yeah, that's right. They throw the neck into it, right? So the husband, John, he says, "Hey, honey, ham's great. It's awesome. But I have a quick question." He says, "Why did you I noticed how hams are pretty big,
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat pork, but he said, the ham's pretty big. He said, I noticed that you cut the butt of the ham off." And she was like, "Yes, it's a part of the recipe." And he was like, "It is? Yeah, it's like the fattest part. You think that's the most juice, that's where the sweetness would come from." So she's kind of not satisfied with this response. So she goes to mom and asks mom, "Hey, why was John loved the ham. Why was the butt of the ham cut off?" And mom just naturally, instinctively just goes, "That's the recipe. That's what great grandma put in there." So fortunately, mom's mom was alive. Okay. Mom's mom's alive. So Jenny goes to her grandmother, and says, "Hey, John really loved it. It's been a hit. She talked to all of the other sisters that got married, and all of them love it. But only John, I guess he was the reason for this." But anyways, Jenny went back, she traced back her lineage, and she said, "Hey, so grandma, why is the butt of the ham cut off?" And grandmother was still alive. And she looked at her like, "Why did you cut the butt of the ham off?" And she goes, "Because that's what the recipe said."
Mm-hmm.
She said, "No." She said the only reason why that ham was cut off was because that was the size of the pan that we were using at that time.
Wow.
So naturally over time, things, they just disseminate or they just evaporate over time. And I think with the money of root of all evil, we're going to be able to draw some comparison to how things over time have been lost in translation, because another good thing that we're going to talk about is actually a certain mindset. Okay. You were really big on this, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Jeff on this, because we really we worked hard, but he worked really hard. He was bringing out his true entrepreneur spirit, right?
That's right.
So we let's give them the differences, right? So what are we going to be talking about? The two separators, the two sets of mindsets.
Okay, so we want you guys to kind of hear it as the middle class way of thinking and a world class way of thinking, right? The two that kind of separate each other. And I think the first topic, I guess you could say we talk about is, I want you guys to hear this little saying, right? The middle class sees money as a weapon, right? The world class sees money as a tool.
Ooh, okay.
Let's sit on that.
Okay.
What does that mean to you?
Well, I think that, to whom much is given, much is required. And here's my firm belief, because I've worked from a middle class mindset before, where I've seen money as, I remember when my wife and I, this is way before entrepreneurship. She'll tell you, she'll verify this. We used to dream being, before marriage, she'd say, "How much money you want to make?" And I don't know why I thought $300,000 was such a vast amount of money. Okay. I just didn't understand that. And she kind of questioned, wow, 300,000. Right. I was like, well, it's kind of comfortable.
Sounded nice.
Yeah, it sounded good, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
I could get a home. I could, my wife, I can buy her a bag or something like that. But so money, we see it as a weapon because we think that we often demonize money when we don't understand that it could really be used for a greater good, right? In fact, I want to ask you a question, just kind of tossing it back to you.
Okay.
You've been in a position where you've worked a job and you're full time into entrepreneurship for some time.
Right.
Do you believe being rich has more benefits or it has more drawbacks?
Oh, it has to be more benefits. I mean, you can ask anyone listening to this, right? I mean, I want you guys to ask yourselves, if you were rich, if you were a millionaire, for example, right? Would there be more drawbacks or would there be more positives? Of course, more positives. 90% of the things in life, can be solved with some money.
Yeah.
Right? I know it doesn't buy you happiness, but it'll fix a heck of a lot more problems. I mean,
that's very true.
When you really think about it, a lot of stress from people comes from not being able to pay the bills, the mortgage, that car payment. If that stress was wiped out, life would be a little different.
That's so true. I mean, I hate to be so bottom line with this, but that's so true that money does solve it as a tool. Not to sound shallow, but I want you all to think about this. In the last 2 years, 80% of the money that's been printed has came within the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's
so
crazy. That's
even the
crazy
government thinks that it solves the problem. Now, there's other drawbacks from that and things like that, right? But the message I think I want all of us to get is that money is a magnifier. So if you're good with money, then you're going to do good things with money. You're charitable. You want to donate. You want to take care of your mother. You want to retire your significant other, whatever it is that you want to do. But on the flip side, if you're a bad person, you're going to Mr. Scrooge it. You're going to Mr. Scrooge it with money, right? Money's a magnifier, right? So you say the term you used was middle class mind and the world class
mind. Realize that it doesn't say a rich mind. It says a world class mind because there's nothing to being rich. It's just thinking in a different way, right? An abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. We're going to touch on that too.
Yeah, that's going to be a sexy topic. We'll get ready. It's like 2 points from now, right? So the second one, in terms of the way to shift your mindset from having a money is the root of evil, and transition and having a little bit more appreciation for it is you wrote this down, is that the middle class denies the importance of money, okay, often, and the world class knows money is a critical component of life.
So key.
How?
Well, I mean, in everything, right? So I want you to think about, I think this really, really hit me when I left teaching and became an entrepreneur. And you know what? To be honest, I'll drive back it down a little bit. It actually hit me when I started my business, Alpha Mentality, because one of the things that we'll talk about too is, the middle class spends a lot of time saving while the world class worries more about earning. Yeah. Right. So I found myself spending more once I got my business. Why? Because I knew there was a bigger vision, a bigger thought, right? I had to think abundantly. Okay, well, if I put money into this, I'm going to grow exponentially. But when I was working, when I didn't have my business built, I was always focused. All right, I got to save this much of this paycheck every single time because, if this job ever leaves or if there's teacher layouts, blah, 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 I have to be ready to save for a rainy day. That scarcity mindset. You're worried about that money running out all the time. And a lot of people think like that.
They really do. You mentioned spending money on yourself, and I got to correct you because it's not spending money. You're actually investing.
You're right. Yep.
You're investing, right? The first two core words in investing is invest and me. So you put into you. It wasn't spending, and that's, by the way, that's naturally a way that most people who have a middle class mindset, they'll think, right? In fact, the thing that's mentioned is that world class knows money is a critical component of life. Let me give you an example. I have a friend in business, really good friend of mine. I'm not going to mention his name. And this gentleman, he's been in the financial industry, I believe. I know it's over 10 years. He does pretty well for himself. And his daughter came down with a certain form of diabetes. And it was like this. It's different in a child. I don't know. I'm just kind of telling you what I can gather from him. Okay. And this gentleman, he's a awesome dad, right? Great husband. Takes care of the household, and he's just worried about his daughter. But because he makes a lot of money, he's able to go line himself up for the first cure for this specific type of diabetes that his daughter has. Right now, I'm willing to bet that if he did not have money, then it would be like, oh, I wish I had it, right?
So true.
But it's a tool. And I'm just so glad because, again, for some time, I hung around a crowd of people who would demonize money and people who made money. And, sure, there's bad things that can be done with money. But at the same time, again, there's probably more being done good than there is bad with money.
Completely. You look at charities.
Yeah.
He mentioned the disease, right? Derek Fisher. Derek Fisher's daughter actually had a form of eye cancer.
She did. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I think one of the best eye cancer doctors was here in LA. And this is the time when he was playing for the Utah Jazz. I don't want to mess this story up, but he actually declined more money to come back. And the Jazz actually let him go so he can come back to the Lakers.
I remember.
So he can give his daughter the treatment, right? But
From the Jazz, right?
Correct.
That's right.
What he also does, though, he donates a lot to that specific charity that funds the research for that type of cancer. If you didn't have that money, how could you donate?
Wow. There's so much.
Right.
Just so much controversy in this because I think, again, through lost through translation and just not having a much better understanding on what money can do. And everybody that's listening right now, whether you're rich, poor, middle class, whatever you conceivably see yourself as, we just want to have you with the right mindset and the right approach to money. Can it be used for bad? Absolutely.
Of course.
It absolutely
It
can.
is a lot, actually.
It can. I mean, politicians sometimes can, or all the time. But that's another conversation. That's another topic. We're not going to touch that. So let's move on to the next point, right? Okay. So the next thing that you wrote down was the middle class focuses on, this is big. Middle class focuses on savings and the world class focuses on earnings.
This was me to a T.
Really? In what way?
I mean, all I did was save my money when I was teaching because I knew my checks weren't that big. So I was like, dude, if I want to get anything in real life, I got to save some money. It's funny because my dad actually taught me, hey, you got to save your money, this and that, coming from the entrepreneur, right? Yeah. But I think he knew, it was like, well, this dude's working a 9 to 5, right? So you better start saving your money.
Did you realize you can save yourself into poverty?
Oh, completely.
You can.
In our industry, we call it going broke safely.
Going broke safely, right? Go get your low interest earning account. But the same way with that low interest earning account, with a low interest earning mindset as well, if you're not doing the right things, okay? Because again, we just mentioned money's a magnifier. If you're not properly equipped with the understanding on just how it should work, how you can maneuver, some of the literacy that you can have with money, it makes the world of a difference.
It does. Let me ask you this question. How important, a scale of 1 to 10, how important would you say money is to you?
A million, a gazillion.
Why?
Because it dictates where I make money so that I'm not dictated. My life is not dictated to me. I get to choose the schools my 2 children go to.
Right.
I get to choose the vehicle that I want to drive. I get to choose the neighborhoods. I get to choose the food. I get to choose. I get choice, right? In life, for me, there's chances and there's choices. And if you have money, then you have autonomy over those choices and those chances, which is going to give me an advantage to life. I'm not here to just drift. I'm not saying I want to be swimming in a pool of cash, but damn near close to it, because I want to be able to provide and I want to be able to leave a legacy and I want to be able to do so many different things, but I can't do that with limited resources.
So what would you say is the biggest difference that you have found yourself in your mindset when you worked in the pharmaceutical industry versus now that you're an entrepreneur? What changed for you when it comes to money?
Great question. Oh, man, there's like 10 things that hit me. The number one thing is that I got around people who had the right identity of money.
Damn.
That was the number one thing.
Proximity is power.
Proximity is power. I mean, the closer you are to something, the better you are going to receive that power, whatever that source is. But the further away from it, and then it changed my ideologies, and it gave me more literacy, and it gave me a different approach to some of the things that I was characterizing as bad. I realized that making $300,000 for my lifestyle is bad because I have such a big heart. I want to give. And how do I, it doesn't equate. I have a big heart. I have a small bank account. Who am I giving to? Hugs don't pay the bills. Hugs don't cure diseases. Hugs don't send kids to the right schools to get the right educations. So again, I would side with having a world-class mindset. And I would challenge everybody that's listening to this today to ask yourself. So far, we went over 3 topics.
Mhm.
Are you middle class mindset approach to that? And by the way, you can adjust,
Right.
or are you world class? And there's areas of improvement on that as well too. So those are what the first 3 so far.
First 3 so far.
All right,
And I
so
think we want to touch on what we just kind of talked about right now, that proximity is power.
it is.
And I think we can kind of all relate to this, right? Every parent has really told their kids, hey, show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Absolutely.
That saying is so, so powerful. I used to think back to some of the friends that I used to have back in like middle school and high school. And my parents were very selective. Hey, I like such and such, but I don't like such and such.
Absolutely.
I never understood that. Like, why? Well, because A, B, and C, whatever, you name it. But parents kind of understand that because they know, like, well, I don't want you to kind of fall into that path. Who you hang out with is basically the same ideas you get, right? If your friends are chilling a lot, you're going to find yourself chilling a lot. It's just the reality. Touch on that. How do you feel?
Well, I mean, your parents were correct because that's my parents as well too. You're the average of probably the 5 people that you hang around.
The average.
So if you think about some of the things that we're saying right now, and let me give you devil's advocate. Maybe you're listening to this and you're almost getting ready to stop listening because you're like, I don't really agree with what Jeff and Otis is saying. We want to challenge you to think a little bit deeper on that because realize this, everything that you do is based on your proximity circle. So if you hang around 5 people that don't go to the gym, you're probably the 6th one. If you hang around 5 smokers, then you're probably the 6th one. If you hang around, people who have bad habits, chances are that you have bad habits. But on the flip side, wouldn't you agree that if you hang around 5 people that are successful or who earn $1 million, those same laws, they apply as well here too.
Completely. I mean, when I joined the financial industry, I mean, I remember when I first joined, I told you, yeah, I'm trying to make $100,000. You're like, that's it? That's it?
That's it. Like,
it's crazy because that one smacked me and my wife across the face. I was like, well, damn. He's like, yeah, we can make that in a month. Let's not.
Well, here's what's crazy is that I had the same reaction as well until I got around the right minds. I wasn't bred like this. I came from my mom and dad were blue collar people. They both worked in factories. They busted butt. My dad's famous saying was, we put a roof over your head, we put clothes on your back, and there's food on the table. Yeah. And that's the mindset that I worked from. My mother and father, they loved us. They cared for us. They did everything that they possibly could. Probably except provide different associations for us, right?
So how hard was it for you to break off of the generational mindset?
Extremely.
Because like you said, the ham, right? The ham example, things get passed down, but someone has to just be like, nah, screw it. I'm going to switch it up. I want to do it this way.
Jeff, that's such a great place to sit in because I'm about to lose some people here really quickly. And then I promise you we're going to get you back. So a lot of us listening to this show right now, we're brain stained. Okay? We're brain stained. We really are. Okay? So this terminology I'm getting ready to use next, this is where the controversy comes in. My mentor told me this. He said, you're brain stained. We need to give you a good brainwashing. Now that has a negative connotation to it.
It does.
Okay?
Always.
Because it's cultish, it's schemish. It seems, again, it's negative. But when I got fed the right ideas, the right nutrients for a healthy diet to look at money and look at what it means to have world class versus middle class, some of these things started to change over time. So it took me some time in the beginning because I had a lot of, stained ideas, go to school, get the good education, go get a job. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that worked. But in 1987, this is 2022, where it's considered that if you have one source of income, that's too close to 0 sources of income.
It is, yeah.
So
agreed.
That changed over time. And it doesn't mean, let's go do 7 things, but let me go focus on one thing. Again, power of mentorship as well. We should have probably added that in here as well too. But
we got a few more episodes to go. Don't worry.
We really do. and you guys don't be surprised. We're gonna be bringing some pretty powerful people to you guys very soon. We're working out some schedule stuff. It's gonna be really good. You're gonna be like, how the hell do you know that person? It's gonna be awesome. So the next point here, I want you to take this one over.
Okay, so the next one we want to talk about is middle class believes money is earned through labor.
Okay.
Right. The world class believes money is earned through thought.
Now, somebody listening to this for the first time that's gonna sound like hocus pocus.
Oh, completely. 'Cause how can you make money with your mind?
People are absolutely like, wait a minute, let me just press pause on this one. So press pause, go back, rewind that, and listen to it again, right? The world class earn money through thought. What's your example on that?
The vision. Right? We talked about this in other episodes, right? If you have no vision, you will not create abundance. Yes, of course, you can make money through labor, but is it going to create wealth? Depends. It depends. Yeah. But the wealthiest people in the world, Elon Musk. Let's talk about Elon Musk. Perfect example.
Perfect.
That mind is A1.
Absolutely.
Right? He is thinking ahead of time. He's not thinking, what can I build for today? He's thinking about what's going to be the next best thing. That mind has made him the richest man in the world simply by thought. And what he does is creates a vision big enough for everyone to fit inside of it.
That's stop, rewind the tape, go back. If you're trying to create something, you need a vision, but it can't be small, is what Jeff just said.
Big time.
It has to be big, right? And everything that you do, having abundance is all about personal development. Would you agree with that?
I couldn't agree more.
So I would call any business that, by the way, businesses solve problems. I would call any business something that's self-developing, right, with a compensation package attached to it, okay? Because the better you become at thinking about abundance, and when you're abundant, you have to not think just about yourself.
Correct.
You have to think about others in that same process. So the better you become at whatever it is that you're doing, right? Maybe right now you're listening, maybe you're in the financial industry, maybe you're running your own CPA firm or real estate or your own babysitter or you're running your own trucking company. The better you become at your craft, notice how you're going to open up this window. You're going to increase your ceiling or your effectiveness to allow more income to come in.
I think it's key. A question we kind of want to set out to the listeners, and I want you guys to really, really listen to this question, hone in on this question, and truly ask yourself, how much time do you guys spend on self-development? Like this podcast, for example, We're gearing it to those wanting to self-develop, right? There's the story of the McDonald's, the brothers, right?
Ray and whatever his name is.
Right. We don't remember them that much because Ray Kroc's the one that actually bought them out.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Joan and I forget it.
Right. So Ray Kroc bought them out. So Ray Kroc didn't even invent McDonald's. He bought it. And what he did was he realized that the leadership, there was a cap on that leadership.
Absolutely.
Why? Because they weren't self-developing. What he did was he created a system. He had a bigger vision where more people fit into it. Once more people fit into it, he created a massive empire. Right. And now it's funny how so many businesses follow systems like McDonald's.
That's very true. I like how you said that because not only did you talk about solving a problem, obviously people have to eat, but he solved more problems as well too. There's a real estate problem that was solved. McDonald's is not in the fast food industry.
They're not. They're in the real estate.
They're in the real estate industry. So he solved that problem. He also solved a job problem. He solved a franchise and an ownership problem at the same time. He provided so much opportunity because he started thinking bigger than I just want to pay my bills or I just want to be a millionaire.
You know what's funny is too that the brothers at that time, I think they were passing like 200,000 in income or something like that.
220,000,
right? Yeah. And it put them in the wealthiest in their county, in their area. But Ray had just a bigger vision. It's like that's it. That's where that stops, right? Let's go bigger and better. Now there's a McDonald's in every single corner of Manhattan.
Yeah, they like liquor stores in the hood. They like liquor stores in the hood. So what advice would you give right there? Right, so. We gave the idea, but what advice could you help somebody? Maybe walk us through your process where it takes some time for you to think big or just to kind of envision.
You have to self-develop. I don't care what your schedule is, what you're doing on a daily basis. You can have 100 excuses. I'm too busy. I'm too tired. You're not tired. You're uninspired. It's just a reality. If you take 30 minutes, if you want to start off 30 minutes a day, read a book, listen to a podcast. This podcast is 30 minutes. Listen to it if you want some help, right? But take some time to really invest in yourself because if you don't, I'm pretty sure everyone listening to this call, you have some time where you're spending some time watching on Netflix, where you're doing something where you're just kind of doing something unproductive. You're scrolling through Instagram or something like that. Take that time away and add something meaningful, whether it's, going for a walk, exercising. On your way to work, you can listen to a podcast. You can change so many things to develop throughout the day, right? Like now, me and my wife, we don't listen to the radio, we listen to podcasts, we listen to books, because we're constantly trying to grow our leadership mentality. Because when you self-develop, you grow into a leader. And that's honestly the goal in life, right? You want to get better each and every day. So that's the advice that I could give to everyone, that if you want to really invest in yourself, self-develop.
Damn. So you mean I got to take the Young Jeezy out of my car? I can't listen to Jeezy no more.
You're doing pretty good.
My wife and I listen to trap music every now and then. We got to get a little ratchet. No, ratchet. My wife is bougie, so shout out to you, baby. So let's transition to the last point, and then give some people some call to action, things that I think that'll help solve some of the problems in your life with differentiating between a world class and the middle class. So last point we have here is that the middle class, they worry about running out of money. And the world class, they think about how to make more.
Yeah, it's so huge, right? The reason why it's funny when right now there's a lot of people unemployed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? What's the first thing they go do when they become unemployed?
Go fill out for unemployment.
And then they start looking for what?
A
job.
Yep.
Right. It's funny. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, and I see a lot of people on LinkedIn months. I've been unemployed since January and I can't find a job, this and that. You realize you spent 5 months unemployed. You know what you could have built in 5 months?
Man.
Or at least started to build if you would just take that same energy and start it. And it's not saying that you shouldn't apply for the job. Keep applying for the jobs. But dude, take like 2-3 hours out of your day and start forming an idea in your mind. Like, how can you solve someone's issues? What can I build that can help a community out? Like, what's lacking in my community, in my area? What's missing? And go solve that problem. Bet you anything you'll make more money than that job.
That's for sure. Most people are afraid to jump off the cliff and pull that cord because the cord works. Just more people need to go out and go do it. In fact, even if you do have a job, I'm a firm believer that there's nothing wrong with
nothing at all
without having to go full time into entrepreneurship. In fact, your 9 to 5, it can fund your 5 to 9. You spend 4 hours building your dream versus the whole 8 hours building somebody else's dreams. I think that you'll see a whole lot more fruit, from your labor. And I'll just go off on a limb here and just say that I am a firm believer that the environment that we're in right now, currently, we're talking politics, we're talking all of the innovation and everything that's going on. I'm a firm believer, going on record by saying this, is that entrepreneurship is going to be the solution to the problems moving forward in the future. There's so many things that we've corrected through coming up through innovation and solving the problems of others versus, relying back on somebody to feed you and take care of you or the government to fund you. Because, I mean, look at it. Our government is kind of, we're not in a great state in terms of financially. But again, entrepreneurship, I think, is a way, even if you just take, 2, 3, 4 hours out of your day and go, go start, that clothing brand, go put the labels on the shirt, iron-ons or whatever, go sell it, go out and I watched this documentary about this guy in Harlem. He makes like I'm going to quote it wrong, but he makes like a jungle juice where he basically goes to the stores. He gets the manufacturer to send him like Hennessy, and then he takes juices, he bottles them up, shakes them up, sells them out in the neighborhood in the summertime, and it's a hit every single year. And I'm just going, wow. Like, while everybody's looking for this guy's doing it. And while everybody's looking for a solution, right now you have a problem. You have a solution that can help somebody as well right now too. In fact, I'll end by saying this, is that inside of all of us, there's 2 wolves, okay? Not literally. Some of you are a little, right? But there's 2 wolves, right? There's one wolf called scarcity, okay? And there's another wolf called abundance. And I'm often asked whenever I tell this to an audience, I ask the audience, I say, which wolf do you think wins? Without giving any context, people say, they start arguing. Oh, the abundant wolf wins, right? Or the scarcity wolf wins. And in fact, the one that wins is the one that you feed. The one that you feed. So if you feed the mentality or the middle class mindset of of scarcity, then guess what? You're going to get that, right? But if you feed abundance and you start thinking about what Jeff was talking about, you start visualizing, right? You start thinking about what it's like to make a shift in, what could your life be like if you decided to make these transitions? Like, how much better could it be? Man, I'm about to get fired up.
You're getting fired up right now.
I'm about to get fired up, dog. Let me turn it back over to you, right? So piggyback on some of that if you can, in terms of running out, or maybe about how the world class think more about money, and then we'll wrap up right after this.
Yeah, no, I think it's great, right? Feeding the life you want, feeding the mentality you want, feeding the vision you want. It's all dependent on you, right? You can take ownership, see yourself like, okay, right? When you get off this podcast, you can literally ask yourself, how important is money to you? And a lot of times, when you really think about how important money is to you, right? You think about what others are going to think. Well, I don't want to look materialistic.
Yep.
I don't want to say that I want this, and this, right? We actually have some homework for you. So let's actually touch on the homework.
Yeah,
I think it's a good time.
We got 2 buttons for you, two questions for you, right? So the first for homework for the audience. And again, we just thank you guys for listening to us.
Always.
2 guys that are not your gurus. But the first homework, after listening to this conversation, we want to ask you something. Can you check your circle, right? Because again, proximity is power. I'm giving things routinely to check in terms of my circle, in terms of, what are people earning around you? What do they do? What are some of the habits, right? I want you to just start taking inventory of the people that are around you, because it'll give you a much depth of a reality versus maybe a fallacy that you may be telling yourself about how you may perceive yourself or how people consume you. So the first bit of homework, let's call it a call to action, is to check your circle, right? And then the second thing is, check this one out, is to write down 10 things that you want that cost money. Now, here's the idea walking into it. We want you to imagine that you had a money tree in your backyard. Hopefully you don't live in an apartment, but if you do, just plant one in your imagination. And we want you to ask yourself, if you had if money wasn't a problem, okay, what are 10 things that you would want that would cost money? Now, why do you think we would ask them that question?
I think the reason we're asking you guys that question is for the exact reason I just brought up. Most people are ashamed to want things in their life because they're afraid of what other people are going to think. Like that person that says, I would love a Lamborghini one day. But the moment you say that, maybe your mom is like, hey, well, money's the root of all evil. You don't want to think like that. You're finding your Toyota. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with Toyota. But what is wrong with wanting something more, with dreaming big? And that's why we wanted to really challenge you guys, so you guys can really ask yourselves, are you limiting your beliefs due to the people around you, your circle, right? Or are you doing it because you truly don't want it? And if you truly don't want it, that's fine. That works for some people. But most of the time, what you'll find is that we limit our beliefs due to those around us because we are scared of what they're going to think. And that has to change. So 10 things that cost money, and money's not an issue. Write them down and start asking yourself, what could you do to achieve it? Are you willing to do whatever you can to achieve it? Wouldn't you agree?
That's very true. So let's land the plane here. Now, the reason for this topic today is to give you more insight. Maybe it's a little controversial. Maybe you agree with us. Maybe you're just here to say, you know what? I need to choose a side, okay? If that is the case and we're talking to you, then I want you to consider this. Why this topic is so important is because I was inspired to have this next bit of conversation with you by a mentor of mine. And he has a pretty big podcast. If you know Ed Milet, he's awesome, awesome guy. And you should listen to him as well, too. Go get your personal development from every angle. But something he said stuck with me a very long time ago, where he mentioned, we all have this seed of greatness in us. And, the chances of being born are very slim, and we're all miracles and things like that. So the mere fact that you're here says that you're here for a reason. And since you're here to do something, okay? Something impactful, something powerful, something that, increases, the livelihood for somebody else. So he says that when he, with the gift that he's given, he's supposed to sow his gift. And his biggest fear is this, and I want all of us to pay attention to this, is that one day we're all going to die, okay? And when we do, we should arrive at some pearly gates, and there should be God sitting right in front of us. And God will mention to you, hey, welcome to the party. And so, in other words, he'll say, well done, my good and faithful servant. And what God will have is a vision of your life. And that vision is going to be a person. And that person, God's going to be showing you exactly who you were supposed to be. And here's the problem is that what happens if you arrive to that version of you that God gave you all of these gifts. You were supposed to go impress upon people, and you're supposed to go impact a lot of different lives, and you were supposed to be carrying out some godly duty. So this person and you should be congruent. But what would happen if that person and you don't know one another? Did you live up to your potential? Did you live up to the calling? So you see, what we're trying to do with alpha mentality is help you become sharper in everything that you do. Okay. Again, we're not your gurus, but we definitely want to work damn hard to be in somebody that's in your ear that says, hey, listen, we want to challenge you on this, right? We want to help you think in this area on, does it serve you or does it not serve you? Take more calculated risk, right? Because again, we just want to help people. So I'll give it back to you for ending. Jeff, go ahead. Tell the people next episode and all of that good stuff.
I don't even want to end it anymore. He kind of ended it for you guys. You guys sit on that, and I want you guys to really process it and really take the homework serious, right? The only way you're going to find value from something is if you put it to action. And if you start putting things to action, you guys will create little habits. Those little habits will compound over time and create something bigger than you ever thought possible. So I'll land the plane there. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Make sure you guys subscribe, follow, comment, share. YouTube channel will be up soon. Peace.